Yes, can I help you?
I'm gonna go get this report turned in.
Much thanks, Captain. Paperwork is...
Since the crew started helping Id with his job as the new Mr. Fix-It, we'd been really busy. The shop was completely flooded with requests. Those sad days when the Islanders didn't trust Id, they seemed like a lie now.
Lyria, how are you feeling today?
Id asked me that every time we met.
We're all worried about you. How's the lifelink holding up?
Right, our lifelink. Everyone thought it might have weakened when I was absorbed by Angra Mainyu. Honestly, I had been really scared back then. But now, with the weight of the sky off our shoulders, I felt better than ever. I flashed Vern and Id a smile to let them know I was okay. Talking about the lifelink brought back memories, and I realized Id still knew almost nothing about our adventures. I began by explaining Catalina's daring rescue of me and our escape from the Erste Empire. Then I described the big trees of Zinkenstill and the Imperial Hydra, and the sad reason I needed to make the lifelink with the captain. Eventually, we met Rackham and Io, Rosetta and Eugen. And before we knew it, our ship was full. It's really amazing how much our family has grown. The whole time I'd sat there, in silence, yes, but I could tell he was giving me 110% of his attention.
Since getting to Zega Grande, we've had a heck of a wild ride. But now that things have calmed down, we can get to making some good memories.
Sure.
I think I'm starting to understand Id. Sure, he has two modes, cold and colder. But if you really pay attention, you can see he has a warm enough heart. Id, the captain, the crew, you're the best friends I could ever ask for. Here's to hoping we'll be together forever.
After some exciting paperwork, I returned to find Lyria and Vern taking Id on a walk down memory lane.
You guys have seen some amazing things.
This was coming from someone who survived Lilith's schemes and won a mind battle with a god dragon. We'd all been through a lot.
It's all because the captain looks out for us. Yep, my butt is epic. You saw him save Lyria and this whole freaking skydome?
I turned to look at Vern, open-mouthed. Where was all this coming from?
I'm just trying to be vocal about my appreciation, remember? So yeah, take care of Lyria and keep up the good work.
I could certainly manage that. Just remembered, Sierra got us a whole bag of sweets as thanks for all our hard work. Lyria and Vern exchanged a glance so charged, I thought the air between them was going to burst into flame.
You should have told us that first. Early dragon gets the grub. Hey, no fair. Come on, Vern, wait!
And just like that, they were off. Foodies, right?
Captain, you got a moment?
I turned around, about to ask, "You want some too?" But one look at Id's knitted brow, and the question died on my lips.
Let's duel.
Did I just hear that right? Why, though? Did he have something against cookies?
Sorry. It was the stories about your adventures. They put the thought into my head.
Oh, that's why... No, I still got nothing.
I want to protect Lyria just as much as you do.
He stalked away then, and left me staring after him. I was still having trouble piecing together his train of thought, but one thing was clear. He was doing it for Lyria's sake.
Another letter from Al arrived. Hazel had fully recovered and was bouncing about with unbridled energy. Al had returned to work on the reconstruction site and was working twice as hard to make up for lost time.
Is it just me, or is his writing messier?
It wasn't just Vern. Not only were there more missing words and misspellings than usual, the lines of Al's letters were harsh and tangled. Evidently, he'd scrawled them in a great hurry between jobs.
I got a bad feeling that next up, it's gonna be Al himself stuck in bed.
I shared Vern's sentiment. This was a boy willing to pick herbs from death's very garden for his sister. There was not an ounce of self-restraint in his character. I could only hope that he would emerge from this trial unscathed. Reading Al's third letter made my head buzz and my hands go numb.
Help! Hazel got sick again. Doctor says you don't know what's happened. The medicine we made don't work no more. What do we do?
It struck me that I, a Skyfarer they had only met once, was all the help these children had left to turn to.
Catalina, I'm worried about Hazel.
Lyria, who had been reading over my shoulder, looked as pale as death, and I thought I heard the fierce thudding of her heart. Let's head back to Folka, quickly. We learned not long afterwards that the captain, who at times seemed to command a sixth sense, had already asked Rackham to set course for the city. Al, Hazel, don't lose hope. Help is on the way.
The Nautilus is skyworthy?
I wasn't sure which was greater, the helmsman's confusion or Kent's enthusiasm.
Yep. We've got one last bit of patching up to do, but she'll be ready before you know it. Isn't that exciting?
Unexpectedly, the helmsman's confusion shifted into something darker. I decided to pry. Yeah, we'll have you back at the helm in no time. Unless you're getting cold feet or something. Yep, hit the nail on the head. The look in his eyes was unmistakable. He feared the skies. Despite his attempts to hide it, his fists were balled up and trembling. I knew the signs well enough. It wasn't my place to snoop further. From his perspective, I was just a busybody trying to dredge up a dream he'd long laid to rest. What could I do anyway? This was something he had to deal with himself. But hey, if I got through it, anyone could. So I did what I could. I put my hand on his shoulder and gave him a sympathetic nod.
When we arrived at Folka, Al came out to greet us. I noticed he wouldn't meet any of our eyes and ducked his head like he was hiding from the world. The doctor had examined Hazel from head to toe, but as far as his eyes could tell, there was nothing wrong with her.
Hazel says all she needs to get better is some Wraithring eggs, but I just don't know.
Al's voice was so small, I could hear the distance between us. Not physical, but emotional. He explained reluctantly that the Wraithwing was a bird which lives among the ancient ruins of Dali Island.
Actually, forget it. We've made you guys do too much already. We'll figure something out.
His smile didn't quite reach his eyes, which were enclosed in dark circles. The reconstruction effort must have been hounding him, and he was apparently not its only victim. Hazel had fallen ill around when Al began overexerting himself. I think I see what's going on here. Gently pushing aside Al's objections, we left to search for a Wraithwing nest. The task ahead, though dangerous, was for brother as much as it was for sister. I'll take point. This area seems promising. Be on the lookout for tracks.
Nothing this way either, huh?
This is quite a rare find. We'd better add it to our provisions. It may come in useful later. What's this?
This cargo's sure been roughed up.
Large talon marks and scattered feathers. The culprit is probably a Wraithwing.
Let's see if it's left any other tracks. Look! More feathers! I think we're getting warmer! Catalina! Catalina! Over there!
That's it. It matches the description perfectly. That's our Wraithwing.
Ah! What's with all the party crashers?
Stay calm. I'll get us out of this. Are you injured?
Right on time!
You're mine! This is our fight! Stay calm, everyone! Roger!
I'm coming for you!
How dare you! Vern is not a science experiment! Prepare yourself! Attack already! I'll support!
Mammoth muscle.
Right then! You're finished!
Reading and study go hand in hand. Come, with me whenever you like.
Nice! Now come on! We've got a bird to catch! These stupid monsters don't quit! You ready, Cat?
Always. I'll freeze them in their tracks. Feel the fight! Understood!
I never do! You guys are so cute!
I'll always be by your side.
Like that?
Your time's up! It's over! Feel the fight! Follow me!
I hear your call.
Earning my good graces to use Vern as a test subject?
I never!
Expected no less.
I'll finish this! Keep your cool, everyone!
Energy.
You're mine! One fell
blow!
Look, the bird. It's watching us really closely. Looks like it's got giant talons.
Shield, light wall!
Be careful, Catalina.
It's all right, Vern. I won't let that overgrown turkey hurt us. Let's go.
From the clouds, straight to the storm!
There's nothing to fear.
Stay out!
Feel the fight!
Iron shoulder!
Prepare yourself. The time is right.
Get them, Ares!
Thank you.
Enchanted land! No escape! It's over! I take you! Look upon your final moment! Blaze of frost! Casioso!
It's your lucky day.
Ars Magna.
Don't get carried away.
Eat up this! Be gone! Into infinity!
Say what now?
Giant one! Absolute zero!
I think it's protecting something.
Of course. It's trying to defend its nest. No wonder it's so desperate.
Well, we're desperate too. Hazel and Al are counting on us.
Roger.
Ready, forward!
Come on, Ducky.
From the
I need your power!
Yes, it's what shall
Stay
know
calm,
defeat.
everyone! Stay alert! One fell blow! Healing light!
Blessing!
Try this! Feel the fight!
All right. Take that, you big chicken.
Now we just need to search the nest and collect the eggs. I can't help feeling guilty, though.
We're so sorry, Miss Wraithwing. We promise we won't take more than we need.
Was that all? I took our prize to the dining hall. But weighing on me was the thought that Hazel had likely told Al a white lie. It said that one bite of a Wraithwing egg sends waves of energy coursing through your body. I guessed that she wanted the meal not for herself, but for her exhausted brother.
I'm so sorry.
My suspicions were confirmed when I returned from the canteen to find Hazel apologizing to the crew.
Catalina, we need to tell you something.
I cut Al off. I knew speaking the words would hurt him. It was better that he didn't give sound and substance to unnecessary guilt. I don't know what's troubling you, but you have to eat. It's the only way the two of you will get better. Food and comfort. That was all I could afford them.
Hello there.
The day had arrived for Lev to show his parents the magic trick he learned from me. Was he going to be able to pull it off? I had to see for myself, so I followed them to a restaurant in town and sat at a nearby table. Somehow just watching was enough to make me nervous too.
I want to show you something.
Come on, you can do this! It's all about sleight of hand, remember? Lev showed his parents the palm of his empty hand and covered it with a handkerchief. Then he removed the cloth just like I taught him. But when he opened his hand, there was nothing there. I thought he must have made a mistake, but it turned out I was wrong.
I learned this trick so I could make others smile. You're actually supposed to have a present in your hand when you open it, but I couldn't think of what to give you.
Unable to hold in the tears any longer, Lev started to cry.
You both have done so much for me. I just couldn't find anything good enough.
He wiped away his tears with the back of his hand, his voice quavering slightly as he fought to get the words out.
I'm really sorry for running off and scaring you guys. But I was worried because you're always so busy. It hurt when you wouldn't listen to me, and I've been so lonely. Tried not to let it get to me, but it just ended up being too much.
We're sorry too, Lev. But don't worry. Soon we won't be as swamped anymore. There's supposed to be a big group moving to Folka from Seed Hollow soon. I hear at least one of them's a doctor.
Once things have settled down, we'll all spend some quality time together. I'd love to go shopping in Seed Hollow as a family. That sort of thing. You'd like that too, right, dear?
Of course. As long as we decide on a budget beforehand.
Way to go, Lev! Seeing them all smiling together like that reminded me of Master Sokka for some reason. Once we're back in Fanta Grande, I think I'll pay a visit to Vaults and tell him all about this little adventure. Sometime later, a brand new clinic was built in Folka. Apparently, the people of Tempule and Folka had chipped in to pay for it. A doctor really did move in from Seed Hollow, too, so Lev's parents were finally able to make more time for their son.
I'm gonna be a great doctor one day. I'll work super hard so I can give you a real present. Just you wait and see.
With an attitude like that, I have no doubt he'll make an amazing doctor. And besides, now he has my patented magic trick to put smiles on everyone's faces. When I peeked inside the clinic on one of our days off, I saw Lev chatting happily with the people of Folka. I'm sure this town will keep prospering even after we leave. The people here are tough. They'll overcome any hardship that comes their way. And that's what I believe anyway. After seeing the smile on Lev's face, how could I think otherwise?
You think we can find the flower? That sounds like a good idea.
Karzeda spoke haltingly, as if remembering the times he shared with his beloved friend. She'd always loved flowers. Tempile was a land forged by its mines, and its climate wasn't suitable for flowers. But that wasn't going to stop her. As if that thread of memory had unspooled another, Karzeda said that his friend mentioned having a secret flower garden. But she hadn't told him the location, so he wasn't sure where to begin looking.
Sometimes she'd head out to a forest near Folka. If the garden's anywhere, it's probably somewhere in there.
It might be a long shot, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try. I drained the last of my glass. We stepped out of the tavern. The rain had stopped. The air was humid, but the sun was a welcome sight after the rain. I squinted up at the brilliant blue sky. There, arcing over the forest, was a large rainbow.
I will fondly remember my splendid time atop Mount Natalith. Deadly blizzard pummeling my flesh, freezing cold stabbing my lungs, and swarms of monsters looking to turn me into a long overdue meal. These were already the perfect conditions for training, but sweet, generous fortune had even more in store. I crested a snowy knoll, and what should I see but the obvious crusaders setting up camp for their own war games? Follow the fist, or it shall lead to serendipity. Unfortunately, however, it seemed my newfound sparring partners were on a stricter schedule than I, as they took their leave before I could properly thank them.
Nandagoza, a letter came for you.
Now this was a rare occurrence.
It looks like it's from... Whoa, no way!
Her mouth was agape. I peered down to read why. From Galanza, the Silver Wolf Corps General. This would be intriguing.
To Master Gandagoza, distinguished practitioner of the Eternal Rage style. Thank you for meeting my strongest force on the field of battle. They spoke highly of your ferocity. In fact, some suggest you may be stronger than me, which is why I demand a duel. If you are not a coward, meet me in front of Tradam's sanctuary, atop Mount Natalith. ASAP! I expect a deathmatch, as the skies have never seen before! Signed, the invincible and unparalleled General of the Silver Wolf Corps, Galanza!
Oh no, Mega Pops! You can't go alone! He's way too strong!
Vern's right. Who knows what could happen during a fight with that man?
What loving kids to spare their thoughts for me! But Galanza was a man of unparalleled battle acumen. I could not pass on such an opportunity. Call myself the greatest fighter in all the skies. I must best the greatest fighters in all the skies. The captain looked at me with trusting eyes, as if to say, "Go, noble warrior! This crew believes in the might of your god-shattering fists." Seeing the tacit acceptance of their commanding officer, Lyria and Vern finally relented, but they insisted on joining, in case the worst befell me. Their support was my tailwind, we left for the battlefield. Witness me, children. I shall fight the fight of rage!
Ah, the wind. Riding aboard the Grand Cipher, soaring across yet another cloud bank, I felt a pang of envy. The wind goes where it pleases, and it arrives when it may, a quality I have long sought to adapt to my fighting style. Here I stood in comparison, shackled to my duties as captain of a knightly order. Oft have I imagined the brighter futures I might have discovered, if only I were faster, more like the gale. Had I risen like a storm front, I could have prevented wars. Had I rushed like a squall, I could have circumvented tragedy. But as the wind continues flowing forward, so too does the passage of time. Idle ponderings would change nothing. I had exchanged my freedom for the greater good. Quietly, I repeated a promise I made long ago. Henceforth, I shall endeavor to combat adversity, so much as I can, for as long as I live. Happily, this hasn't been a hard course to follow, for it runs parallel to the path of the crew, gracious hosts and, on occasion, lively companions.
I want you to broaden your horizons for the betterment of our kingdom.
I now see the wisdom and kindness behind King Carl's decree. For it was my journey aboard the Grand Cipher that taught me how to cast control to the winds, to ride unbound and at the mercy of the gales. When I was a boy, my best friend's parents were killed by wyverns. After witnessing the depth of his grief, I decided I would become a knight. I would protect the kingdom from monsters and the tragedies they wrought. But there was one massive wall standing between me and my goal. It was not aptitude, for I had some talent with the sword, but the station of my birth. At that time, Fiendrock was a kingdom run by its aristocracy. Commoners were restricted to a life of labor, and the knightly orders were composed entirely of noble houses. Immediately I was rejected, told that I could offer my sweat to the crown, but not my blood, for it lacked the proper lineage. I was not deterred. Who was to say that our stone-walled villages could not breed warriors as well as our gold-gilded courts? I studied, I trained, and I worked harder than any man had ever worked to become a knight. In the end, my efforts bore fruit. Siegfried, who at the time was still in the service of the king, understood my plight and changed the course of history. He allowed me into the order of Black Dragon Knights. But uneasy rests the commoner with new acquired titles. The nobility would only be too eager to dismiss me over the slightest misstep and prevent the chivalrous orders from being contaminated by peasant filth. I could not fail. The weight of my people and the future of the kingdom spurred me. I had to become the perfect knight. My ascension was not easy. If given a choice, I might have chosen a different path. But when I had at last emerged from the crucible of trial and tragedy, I was a changed man. I was the captain of the White Dragon Knights. My mentor, Siegfried, was captain of the Black Dragon Knights. He once saved the kingdom by killing the dreaded dragon, Fafnir, and vouched for me when no other would. So when my friend and counselor was convicted of regicide, I felt betrayed. Siegfried's downfall thrust upon me the leadership of the newly dubbed White Dragon Knights, and I swore to bend all my power toward bringing him to justice. In hindsight, this anger was misplaced, foolish. There was no reason for Siegfried to assassinate the king. I should have deduced Royal Consul Isabella's hidden coup, long before turning on a man whom I knew to be steadfast and honorable. My mind trembled under the pressure of newfound responsibility. It howled and grieved for the loss of a beloved king. I know that this amounts to no more than an excuse. It was my flash judgment that drove me away from Siegfried when he needed me most. Had I been left to my own devices, the conspiracy may have never been brought to light. But I had Vayne and Percival at my side, and though hunted by all the country, Siegfried himself infiltrated Isabella's cabal and alerted me to their treachery. I may owe the biggest debt, however, to the Sky-faring captain, whose aid was instrumental in restoring peace to Fiendrock. After the dust had settled, His Majesty King Carl decreed that I explore other countries so I could gain experience befitting my new station. Thus, I became another crewmate aboard the Grand Cipher. Since then, I have visited various lands. I have seen myriad peoples and their responses to numerous threats. I have learned many things and gained many new teachers, and as they have given freely to me, someday I hope to give back to them. But there are yet countless leagues to travel, so on I sail across the skies, seeking the strength and wisdom necessary for a true leader. Zega Grande Skydom. How much time had passed since our arrival here? With our battles against the Church of Avia and the pacification of many primals, it certainly felt like a lifetime. But now that things were a little quieter, we were content to return to our usual bread and butter, satisfying requests from locals. Though the crew was accustomed to quests of all sorts, one day, there came a demand that left us puzzled.
Sorry for the confusion, folks. This request isn't for the whole crew. It's an escort mission for Lancelot, specifically.
Me? But why? There were few in this Skydom who had even heard of my name. Curious, I asked about Hans, the man who had posted the quest.
Oh, you don't know him? Seems like he was real familiar with you. Anyways, he's a butler for the Lord of Grassgard.
I hesitated. There was nothing I could do that another crewmate couldn't accomplish just as well. Acknowledging a specific request for me felt discourteous in a way.
You're not at your fancy-ass court anymore, okay? On our ship, you don't have to worry about rubbing anyone's ego the wrong way. If you're interested in the job, just take it.
Though he may not have been tactful, Eugen was, as ever, a fount of wisdom. Very well, then. I shall hear what this Hans has to say.
It is a pleasure to meet you. I am Hans, butler to his lordship.
The next day, an elderly man ambled onto the Grand Cipher, leaning heavily on his cane. But looking into his eyes, I sensed deep wisdom and a sharp mind. The pleasure is mine. I am Lancelot, a Skyfarer. Forgive me for not accepting your request at once, but I would like more details before returning an answer.
Yes, well, his lordship Ludwin is in need of an escort.
Hans explained. Ludwin was a lord of Grassgard, and he was looking for a mythical sword passed down through his family for generations. So far, his search had led them to a snowy peak, but nearby monsters made the trip too dangerous to risk without protection. Does your lord not employ a personal guard?
He does. But as this quest is for personal gain, he believes that commanding their service would be an abuse of power. However, the Lords of Grossguard have never been gifted in the martial arts. So if we head to the mountains without a decent sword arm, tragedy will surely befall us.
But what led you to seek my sword arm specifically?
Well, we knew we needed a highly experienced Skyfarer. The mission is dangerous, far too dangerous for any amateur. But perhaps more importantly, his lordship is quite the fan of yours, Sir Lancelot.
A fan? My voice cracked in surprise.
Yes, you are known as a knight exemplar, talented in both combat and scholarship. How fortunate that this very same Lancelot would come to our land and proffer his services.
Whatever accounts you've heard of me were surely exaggerated.
And so humble. Lord Ludwin will be overjoyed when he hears that we've secured your aid. The Honorable Sir Lancelot to protect us. What could be better? So, will you accept?
Though this idolatry did not sit well with me, I could see no reason to refuse. From what I'd heard, Ludwin seemed an honorable man. Besides, there was much a Lord of this Skydom could teach me. Very well. On behalf of our crew, I accept your request.
Lyria and Vern became a regular fixture at the studio. They said they wanted to be there when Shanae finished her latest piece. I felt much the same. Her pieces were charming, even while portraying the thin line between life and death. Rare to get drama like that outside of a novel. But my true reason for visiting was out of concern, not interest. She was battling an unpredictable disorder, so I wanted to be around should the worst come to pass.
Could you stick around for a few? I need to run out and buy a few things.
You dare waste my time with your foolish errands? Fine, but at least be quick about it. After Heimel left, Shanae waved me closer to her bed.
After all you've done, I don't want to sound ungrateful, but...
Her voice quivered. She was plainly troubled.
I don't know if I could say this. Wow. Okay, I want my brother to be free. I don't want to bind him any longer.
Tears began to gloss her eyes.
Without me holding him back, he could find someone and settle down. He has such a kind heart. He needs to share it. If I'm ruining his life, then I would rather not be in it at all. Please take...
I interrupted her. I don't condone this, and I doubt your brother would either. Oh boy. If there was ever a time to talk about my past, this was it. Look, I've been in your shoes. There was nothing the village doctors could do, and I was abandoned by damn near all the townsfolk. For the dying, hope was cheap. It was better to look inevitability in the face and maintain some of your dignity. But there was one person who stood beside me. My light. My rock. My sister. She was with me the entire time, keeping me warm in the shadow of death. And in turn, I gave her the comfort of company, not being alone in this world. I continued to detail memories of my sister, over 2,000 years old, hoping that Shanae would get the point. She hung on to every word. When I concluded my story, to my disappointment, Shanae seemed to pick up the wrong message.
How did you get better?
Simple. The curse of genius. I developed an entire school of magic and abandoned my wretched body. I couldn't suppress a proud grin. She nodded along, not quite understanding. I couldn't blame her. Few people had the opportunity to learn the glory of alchemy, especially in these far-flung skydoms. Imagine your body is a jar and your soul is water. I created a fresher, cuter jar and poured my soul into it.
You can do that sort of thing?
Shanae cupped her mouth in surprise. Don't insult me. There's nothing I can't do. She grew silent as gears began to whir in her head. A few moments later, she stared at me with pleading eyes and spoke.
Could you do it for me?
Well, that was predictable. But I could relate to her predicament, and that alone made me want to help. If you really want to go through with this, I can make you a jug too. However, you should know. It wasn't going to be simple. A soul swap was messy on an experienced alchemist's psyche, much less a mundane girl's. Nor would I be around to perform maintenance down the line. It could very well be a fast track to the grave. And to inhabit an alchemized body was to stray from the natural order. She would forever be a false life form. Shanae had no knowledge of the arcane. She was struggling to grasp these factors. And what's worse, I didn't have the decades needed to explain the details. So I opted for a simpler route, and explained the side effects in more mortal terms. Even if your memories, knowledge, and personality make the jump, you will never feel the same. Your senses will feel foreign. Your fine motor skills will be dulled. In short, goodbye, art. Take, for example, the sky. We each paint it in our own way. One may clumsily blob some white on a blue background, while others might choose a deeper hue or express the clouds with more definite contours. Art is a negotiation between the artist's mind, eye, and hand. And if 2/3 of that equation were to change, then the artist might as well be a different person altogether. Even I, genius that I am, took centuries to adapt to this process. Finally, it means you won't be human. You'll have to maintain your body like a machine, and you'll never have children. Is any of this sinking in?
But...
Shanae looked down at her hands, as if it were the first time she had ever seen them. It was never an easy decision. Even my sister begged me not to abandon my mortality, right until I made the hop into a new vessel.